Thank you, Zhenjiang, and thank you, the hosts, for such generous introduction. I am William Ouyang Shiten. So, to begin with, my school life is somewhat different from before. I am currently anxious, worried, angry, and sometimes violent. Not because I'm about to graduate from high school and my application is not yet completed, but because PPT please, but because my brother is now transferring to Maple Leaf International Middle School. And on the first day of school, my parents drove us to the gate and my mom told me, William, I said, yes, take care of your brother. Like, come on, not again. And for the next few days, I prayed for a wonderful, not distracted week from far away from my brother. And it turned out it was no use. I received hundreds of calls from my parents, from the teachers saying, Daddy needs help, Daddy got into some sort of trouble, we need you, come on. And it was desperate. And having to take care of my brother after several, dozens, hundreds of deadlines, it's tough. And well, I got over that, and here I stand, intact, and giving this speech. So one very interesting thing I discovered while taking care of my brother in school is that my classmates, when they see my brother and I walking together, they will ask me this question in the most exaggerated tone ever. You have a brother? I didn't know you had a brother. And I was like, yeah, I have a brother. What's wrong with that? And I started thinking, is it that I am wrong, or is it something wrong with my brother? And it turned out it was nothing like that. My classmates were just simply surprised because I have a sibling. As simple as that. And that's confusing because nobody's surprised that I have a sibling. What? So that got me thinking. And a few months ago I had this so-called aha moment where I was doing a project on the population pyramid. And if you don't know what a population pyramid is, it's a pyramid-shaped graph illustrating the distribution of a state's population according to gender and age. So I look at that graph and I went, okay, I found that issue. It was the one-child policy. The reason why my classmates are so surprised that I have a sibling is because China has issued the one-child policy since 1979. So just to give you an overview, the one-child policy, if you have not yet heard of it, is basically a policy, a famous policy, if not the most famous policy in China. In 1949, the population of China was 500 million people. It was 500 million people. And then to 1979, in 30 years, the Chinese population was 970 million. In just 30 years. And the population was growing at a rate of 2.5% annually. So government statistics show that if the population continues to grow at that rate, we will have 1.8 billion people in 2020. What will that lead to? Well, starvation, lack of food, water, maybe epidemic, So they issued the one-child policy in 1979. And we see immediately the change. The fertility rate dropped dramatically from 1970 to 1979, from almost 6 children per woman to 3 children per woman. It halved, basically. And the figure continued to drop from 1979 to 2013. And by 2013, we had 1.3 billion people, not 1.8, not 1.7, fortunately. So, what basically means is that the one-child policy prevented 400 to 500 million people's birth, which, in a way, you might disagree with me, saved most of the Chinese people from starvation and lack of food and resources. However, there's many disadvantages to this policy. Many people will argue that the Chinese one-child policy created millions of little emperors, 小皇帝 in Chinese. Who are they? They are the center of their family. They are surrounded by adults. And then a typical Chinese family is structured 4-2-1 structure. What does that mean? Is 4 grandparents, 2 parents, and 1 child. Which means that the 2 parents have to bear the burden of the whole family. 7 people, that is. That's tough. And then, what's more, sociologists believe that the one-child policy actually resulted in gender imbalance. We now have more boys than girls because of the policy. But, these are not my topic today. Yes, they are important issues. They are important to our society, but I'm not going to talk about that. My concern today is families, individuals, my family, my brother, and I. So, my brother, technically speaking, he's born in Hong Kong, and he was unregistered on the hukou. If you know what that is, he's a 超生 boy. So from the age before I was a brother, obviously, I was a single child of my family. So I was basically the little emperor in my family. I was the 小皇帝, right? I had dozens of adults, parents, and relatives are surrounding me. They read me stories, they play with me. Ooh. And even better, they buy me stuff. And everything changed since my brother was born. One overnight, I lost everything. Completely. It was like a billionaire. I was like a billionaire whose entire fortune was robbed by one guy, and to make that thing worse, I had to live with that guy for the rest of my life. Think about that. I see you're smiling, but if you have a sibling, you understand me, right? You empathize. So, yeah, that was basically me. So, as a result, I had a pretty bad relationship with my brother. Every time he tries to argue with me, I overwhelm him because I'm 7 years older than him. Every time he tries to fight with me, I beat him. And, he never wins. He never wins. And my parents don't know what to do. They don't. Because they were single child themselves. They were the only baby in their families. So, they didn't know what to do with sibling problems themselves. and they didn't know what to deal with, how to deal with my sibling problems, consequently. And this is not just my family and I who has this problem. It's a social phenomenon. So as you might know that in 2016, the one-child policy was gone. Now, families are allowed to have 2 babies instead of 1. What happened next? Well, more of these issues are taking place and more parents are panicking. They don't know what to do. So I've read a news article in Chongqing, and this is a real story. One boy girl, don't put that on, it's not yet there. So one boy in Chongqing escaped from his home. He ran onto the street asking for strangers to take him away because, quote, my parents won't shower me because they were busy taking care of my 1-year-old brother. And I was jealous, so I ran to the streets and tell a stranger to take me away. Yeah, as simple as that. Jealous. So this jealousy-sibling relationship is everywhere, is becoming more and more prominent than ever. But things are changing. Things are changing. If you have watched television shows, TV programs, magazines, newspaper articles, online articles, you'll see that people are getting more and more aware of these issues. If you have watched ZJMLIS, I believe that you have heard debates on one-child policy, whether or not parents should have a second baby without the consent of the older one. Well, that's an interesting topic to debate. And that shows that, okay, we understand this issue better than before. Well, as for me, I try to be a better brother in the past few months. And I try to encourage more than punishment. I try to give him more care than just supervising him. So all which are duties I should have done but have not done as a brother. And finally, if there is a take-away point that I want to convey to you in this sharing, it is this. Students, my peers, if you have or will have a sibling, a brother or sister, cherish them. Congratulations, you now have the most adorable, most caring person in your life. And parents, if you have a second baby, if you're planning to have a second child, talk to the older one. And before you scold us, criticize us for bullying our siblings, remember this. It is our first time as brothers and sisters. It is not your first time as parents. We are inexperienced. You are experienced. So give us time to grow up. And finally, I will say to my parents and my brother, this is an opportunity for me to say for the first time, but definitely not the last time, Danny, my brother, I love you, and for the rest